Indonesian soldiers came to the village, and we just heard lots of noise and shouting and panic, and then some men came in and told us to stay very quiet.
IUNE Podcast.
Diak maluk harenaing norona naing sirhotu, hamutuk falhohau Alexandre Maia iha IUNE Podcast ba Edisaun da-haat nian. Diak, iha Edisaun da-haat nian ni ita sekulia kona-ba tema Witnessing Independence Memories of Australian Activists. Ka ita sekulia kona-ba testemunha ba Independénsia ba nação Timor-Leste, husi Ativista Australia. Hanesan ita hotu hatene katak. Timor-Leste ninia Independénsia idane, suramos a juventude loriku asuain sereninia, manifestação nebe maksirahalo, iha lorong sanulu resing rua fulang Novembro, tinang rihuida atusia sinulu resing ida. Iha nebe juventude sira halo manifestação, hasoru militar Indonesia sira, kata sira hakara, Timor-Leste sa Hanesan nação ida nebe mak Independénsia ka ukun rasikang. No lihusi sireni manifestação idane, maka toka tebes mundo ninia fuang, no mundo ninia matang kata Timor-Leste ni sofrimento husi invasão Indonésia ni idane makas tebes. Honune halo ativista sira husi nação selo, nebe maka halo sernia ação solidariedade ba itania nação Timor-Leste hakara kitania nação idane, sai Hanesan nação idane be maka independente. Tambane maka Marco ona ia hauninia sorinkaru itaninia ativista ida nebe maka halo sernia saung solidariedade ba itania nação Timor-Leste ba hira itatama ba iha itaninia ukun rasikan idane. Tambane atu itahatene claro kono ba itania ativista ne semaknia nonia mai usinebe nonia associação ne narang saida. No tambah sama sira hari seni associação ida ne hodi apoio Independéncia ba nação Timor-Leste nian. So, hello Miss, how
Hello.
are you?
Good, thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Okay, so once again, welcome to IUNE Podcast. So, as you know that the reason we invite you here because we want to know clearly about your association. So here you have 2 minutes to introduce yourself.
Yes.
And also your country and then your association.
Yes.
Please.
Thank you. So my name is JANICE CRERAR. I'm a lecturer in education at Charles Darwin University in Darwin, Australia, and I also lecture at the Institute here, mostly in mathematics and science. I live in Australia, but my nationality is Scottish Australian. I'm originally from Scotland, and I first came to Timor-Leste in 2000 to do some activist work because of the events happening between 1999 and 2000. That was my first introduction to Timor-Leste.
Diak maluk sirhotu Hanesan itani ativista ne introduso na kata nia narang JANICE no niemos Hanesan docente ida e husi nação Austrália. No niemos Hanesan docente ida ba iha Instituto Universitário Naroman Esperansa. No nia lori matéria no focliu ba iha ciência no matemática. No itani ativista ida ne Hanesan hateteona katak nia original husi Skotlandia. So, can you tell us about your association name and also your mission of your association?
Yes. In 1999, the events happening in Timor-Leste were very well known in Australia. And because Darwin is so close, many people from Timor-Leste were evacuated to Darwin. So we became very aware of the needs that people had here to rebuild a country. At that time, I was lecturing in science faculty at what was then Northern Territory University. But I was also the leader of the women's union, and we met with some Timorese women who had evacuated, and they told us about some of the problems. And I also was attached to a group called Australians in Solidarity with Australians in Solidarity with Indonesia and East Timor. And through those two associations, we joined a group, some from the university, some from other parts of Australia, and we registered as an NGO with the United Nations. So our first visit, we were invited by a leader of one of the parties at the time, Avelino de Silva, and I think they were the Socialist Party at the time. We were invited to come and do some work in Timor-Leste to help rebuild. My personal aim was to meet with women in Delhi through the connections I had in Darwin, and we discussed how we might support women to gain income to survive at that time. But we also, there were 6 of us in total. We travelled around Timor-Leste to find out what other people needed. So we spent 2 weeks travelling around Timor-Leste. Sorry.
When Indonesian occupied in East Timor during 24 years.
Yes, during the occupation.
Yes. Occupation, 24 years. What did you hear and see about the action that the military of Indonesia do for East Timor?
So we all knew about the events of 1975, and many people in Darwin knew refugees from 1975, because many refugees stayed in Darwin. They didn't come back, and they arrived by boats and stayed. So we knew about Balibo. Most of us had seen the film Balibo, but the Australian news, we did not hear news. Any news we heard about Indonesian occupation was from Timorese people in Darwin who had family here. Part of the reason so many people in Australia in 1999 felt so strongly about supporting Timor-Leste is because we found out that the Australian government had played not a terrible role in not defending Timor-Leste from Indonesia. The Australian government had decided that to maintain the relationship with Indonesia, they would let Indonesia come in. Also, the world was worried about communism, and in the Western world, people said Timor-Leste is going to be communist unless it's colonized by Indonesia, which it's their fear. But things that actually happened during the occupation, I found out stories when I visited in 2000. And even now, friends here tell me stories of how it was for them in during the occupation and during the election and post-election. So.
Okay, thank you. So, when your association, we heard that your association do the campaign or demonstration to give a solidarity for East Timor. What is the reaction of citizens or government in Australia when they saw you do this campaign in your country?
In 2000, Australia was by then very supportive of Timor-Leste. So, and Australian troops were part of the peacekeeping force. And the government of the day admitted that a mistake had been made. So when the election was held in '99, and then the Indonesian military acted poorly, that is against democracy. So countries like Australia reacted strongly and sent people to help. In Australia, because our organisation was associated with socialism, the government not so keen on that. But only socialist in the way for equity for all people to have fair treatment. And in Australia, people were very supportive. The government were forced by the people to take action because there were many marches, there were many letters written, and they used the power of the people to make sure the government changed their attitude.
Through your solidarity for East Timor, how did you feel when the president of Indonesia, B.J. Habibie, decide referendum for East Timor, and support from United Nations and facilitated by United Nations Administration Mission East Timor? And then how do you feel about that personally?
Personally, all moves towards Indonesia accepting Timor-Leste as an independent nation are all positive. Personally, I feel joy for Timor-Leste and the people I know in Timor-Leste, because such a long occupation where terrible things happened and suddenly independence. But I also feel worried for Timor-Leste, because I worried in 2000 that some other big country would come and move into Timor-Leste, not with military, but with other ways of colonizing, like countries can come in and take over with tourism, can take over just by sending people here. So, and I am aware, for example, when I work here, that the way education will be in Timor-Leste is up to the people I'm teaching, the students who will be teachers of the future. So I'm aware that while I am working to try and show you the pedagogy and the principles and the theories, there is something that must be uniquely Timorese that will come into education, and I think it is growing that way. And I was worried that other governments would come in early on and take over the idea of how they thought Timor-Leste should be. So I'm not aware that it needs to be particularly Timorese.
As you say that in 2000 you came to Timor-Leste, and then who facilitated your association to be here?
The political group, whose name I do not remember, but most of the people in the political group, Avelino de Silva was the leader. He was a close friend to Janana, And so I met Janana at a wedding, which was very good. And most of the people who showed us around Timor-Leste, we drive around the mountains on the back of a truck, and the people that showed us and introduced us to people in villages were mostly had been freedom fighters. So they told us a lot of stories about being in the mountains and scary stories. So we learnt a lot, and through them we met many people in Dili, but also we came to Amera, we went to Alio, and we went over towards Bacau and over that way. And so I can't remember everywhere. At the time I had no map and no Google Maps, so I can't remember everywhere. But I remember people were very happy to see us, and they were very warm and inviting, and people particularly wanted us to go back to Australia and tell their story, because nobody had been there to listen to their stories. So as well as other work, we spent a lot of time listening to stories and telling them back in Australia, so that people knew what had happened. I was very impressed at the spirit of Timorese people after such trauma. It was very impressive.
What do you see and think about East Timor before occupation and after independence? And how about your feeling when Timor-Leste became as an independent country?
So when I came at first, it was full of United Nations peacekeeping force. So there seemed to be more peacekeepers than Timorese people, even except in the mountains when you went very far into rural. So compared to how it is now. So Timor, when I first came, Dili was much smaller, and a lot of it in poor shape because of the occupation with damage, and there had been some things burnt to the ground, so fire. And when we came up to the municipalities and to small villages, many of them had nothing, and they were worried about food. Their crops had been burnt, and their buildings, they were building. Everywhere we went, they were building. Everybody was very busy, and many of them had new public buildings that they were very proud of. And people were surprisingly optimistic. But still, I remember being in one village at Sabe, and while we were there in the middle of the night, this is in early 2000, Indonesian soldiers came to the village, and we just heard lots of noise and shouting and panic, and then some men came in and told us to stay very quiet, and something went on for about 2 hours, and we just waited, because not a good situation, and we were frightened for us and for the people. But then the military left. But I was very surprised that they were still around. I thought that strange, even with the peacekeeping force. But the comparison now, coming to Timor, every time I come back, like I came in 2000, and then again 2001, 2002, we came back and forward. And every time I came back, things looked better. And then I didn't come back till about 2010, and it was like, wow, it had grown so much. And then again, I kept coming back because my experience in Timor-Leste, I fell in love with Timor-Leste. I felt very strong about it as a country, and I felt very, very proud to be part of what is happening. So ever since 2002, 2003, I kept coming back as touristo. But I always wanted to have something I could do here. But I didn't want to come back with my ideas. I wanted to find somewhere that was right for me. And then, so in 2020, Sister Monica invited me to talk about this project. I was very happy. I immediately said yes, without even knowing the project.
And also because you already know about the Timor-Leste.
I know about Timor-Leste. I know I love the people in Timor-Leste. I know it is a beautiful country. Yeah, I was delighted to come back. I'm very happy when I come here. So now though, since 2021, 22, 23, 24, 25, every year I come back. It's more and more, it's growing so quickly. It's growing so quickly. Dili is growing like exponentially. But it's good, it's good. It's good to see it grow.
Yeah.
As long as the people are happy with how it grows. And I'm very happy about the independence, obviously.
So as a long year ago, when in year 2000 you came here, you saw that the old facilities and also the building is damaged.
They've gone, yeah.
Yeah, damaged. And then currently in 2025, and you're coming back, and then you saw that Timor-Leste has growing.
Yes, yes. It's very good,
so,
positively.
And so as a youth and as a Timorese people, I'm really appreciate with your action solidarity that you with your association do for our country. Is a thing that very good and is.
I will cry.
And then is. With your solidarity is inspired the all youth of Timorese to fight for our country.
Ah, good, good.
And also your presence here, and also you as an activist for your association, you also can inspire the all human in Timor-Leste.
No.
So through your presence, can
I blush.
inspire the all youth, especially for human in Timor-Leste. They will be fight for our country, not only for men, but the human and men. We are together fight for our country.
Yes, yes. I think Timor has many friends, even if governments have let Timor-Leste down. People overseas have not. And people in Scotland, where I'm from, had never heard of Timor-Leste until I come in 2000. And I was shocked. I thought, so many of the world do not know what happens. And then my father, he very upset that I was here because he was frightened for me. But I'd done what I always do, I ignored him. But he was very proud of me. My dad, he has passed now, but once he knew the story, he said to me, that is something I'm very proud of you for.
Of course.
That's why I cry.
So very good.
I feel humbled by it, by the opportunity.
So I'm curious to know about your association. So currently your association still exists or no, whether you're still taking solidarity or action for other country or no?
Now I was an activist for many, many years, and now I'm quite old. So I do activism, online activism. I do support other countries, but I don't do so many marches or actively going places or the heavy work. I leave that for young people. But I do a lot of online support and spreading momentum for different places in the world. For example, when Israel and Palestine, and for Ukraine and countries in Africa, there are so many. I continue to advocate for people's right to their country, because country is very important. In Scotland, country it's our soul. It's not just where you're born, it's our soul, it's who we are. So I can understand that in Timor, the country is your soul, it is your heart, it is everything. And so I will continue to fight for people's right to their country. Definitely.
It's really good.
IUNE Podcast.